And then an easy Sunday. I went on a long run yesterday because I didn't do that on Saturday. So snuck that in first thing in the morning, and then
Sunday run day. What's
Sunday run day.
your long run now?
That was just over 12. So after the marathon, I brought the long run down quite a bit and just made weekly mileage, just picking that back up. And then I'll slowly start to build the long run back
Dude,
up.
12 is still long. 12 is still legit.
It is. I was out for an hour 45.
Yeah.
You know, like running, 8:30 pace for that long for the most part.
I feel like anytime you break an hour, it's worthy of calling it a long run.
Totally. I mean, you know it. I know you know it, but there's huge physiological differences that change right at the 60-minute mark. And so anytime that you can push to that or beyond, there's huge aerobic benefits that you start to get. So I'll start to try to have 2 longer runs in the week, with my long run being even longer. So can I get an hour 15 middle of the week and then closer to the 2-hour mark later in the week, just to get the aerobic? I mean, that's the missing gap for me. I actually saw this awesome, there's a podcast, strength running podcast, really solid content. And the thing that I really like about his approach and everything he talks about is, and this is a guy that Genesee stumbled upon, is he takes a complete approach. He doesn't look at it like you should live in the 80-20 rule. You should only work zone 2. Longer is better. It's none of that. He's like, you should have a faster mile, and you should also have a really good 10K. And that's going to make you a better marathoner. And he has this really cool approach. And I saw a graphic from him, and he said, if you want to be a sub 3-hour marathoner, which is, I mean, that's a very common goal for a lot of marathon runners because of the unicorn goal of the Boston Marathon. Just that's mystical and magical. So just in case people wonder why I'm bringing up sub 3 and why so many people talk about sub 3. Thanks a lot, Boston. Gave everyone something to aim at. And the graphic was like, you want to run sub 3? Here's some other benchmarks that you should be able to do that will only help assist in that. And it was run a 5:15 mile, have an 18.5-minute 5K. Next one would have been a 38-minute 10K. He had a 5 mile in there. I don't remember what the timeline would have been. It averaged to be a 6-minute pace. So it was like a 30-minute 5 mile, 38-minute 10K, and then an 85-minute half marathon. And it was the exact same thing that we were talking about last week. The first 3 of those, no problem for me. And then I'm just a little bit off. When you get to the 10K, I'm just off by a little bit, just a couple minutes, a minute or 2. And then the gap starts to open up by 5 minutes. And then the gap opens up by 15 minutes. And it starts, and so that's why I'm talking and focusing so much on that longer long run and really getting that in, because I have the power, I have the speed. Went and did some speed work at the track the other day, and hitting repeats at a 4:45 pace, was no problem for me. I have the neuromuscular efficiency and power to do that. So it's that long aerobic endurance.
Has your weight dropped during this?
Not as much as I want, which is, it's obviously a diet thing. I started to have I was in a 5-week caloric deficit, start to have some good drop. I went from 202 to 197. I was pretty happy with that drop, but then I started to feel it on the road. I wasn't recovering from runs. So I brought that back up, but I'm living in more of a neutral, maybe a slight surplus for 2 weeks, and then I'll go back down again. And I just think it's the best. As soon as I start to see those negative response in recovery, I like to bring calories back up before I drop back down again. So I'll kind of undulate. So I've stabilized 198 right now.
So yeah, so you are down. You're down 5 pounds.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So that's been good.
That's the latest you've been in a while.
It's the lightest I've been in a long time. Yeah. The last time I saw below 198 consistently was leading into the 2016 CrossFit Games. And that was when I first started working with a D. Back then, her philosophy was a bit more of a get lean and shredded, and that's going to benefit you. There was definitely some benefit from it, but there's more to performance than just being lean and mean. You have to be fueled as well. But leaned out a lot that summer. And then, time goes on and you learn a little bit more. And, the sport also changed and hedged towards you have to be more powerful. And so with that comes the need for some more muscle tissue and things like that. So I started to put on more mass, eat a little bit more, and consistently focus on building quality muscle tissue. And when I say quality muscle tissue, it's like quality from the sense of it's lean, it's more muscle mass, it's not just hedged towards strength, but it could also move fast and quick. Like that's what I talk about when I'm talking about muscle quality. It's the really the picture that we're talking about when well-roundedness of strength. That's really what I see as quality muscle. You can put on mass and muscle and be stronger. That's great, but that's just one component. And I don't know that it's great quality, but if you can move fast and it has some muscular endurance, like you got some quality muscle tissue on.
Yeah. What's the other? So if you're shooting for a sub-3 marathon, which is really impressive for, I forget about a former D1 football player and CrossFit athlete, but for somebody that's, 200 pounds, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
What other, to maintain that well-roundedness, are there other things that you're looking to hold on to or other benchmarks that you're shooting for? Is there other things that are kind of on the radar to ensure the well-roundedness stays? Or are you like, hey, I'm going to go for the sub-3, kind of more like a undulating thing. I'm going to go get that thing and then we'll come back and we'll see where we are.
Yeah. So the one thing that I'm not willing to do is lose my strength in the process. And this is more so, it's like, I'm a curious human being. Man, like, and so the one thing that I'm really curious is of how strong can I stay while losing 10 pounds, running sub-3, picking up my mileage, so on and so forth. And I think there was something that was really cool that I saw just a couple months ago when I was 2 weeks out from my marathon. And that was, if you follow this picture, I was 2 weeks out from my marathon. I had a 60-mile week. I back squatted my 90% for a triple, and I was only 10 months post Achilles rupture. So when you look
cool.
at that picture, it's like, that's pretty dope. Like I was pretty stoked on all of that. And my broad jump got back to within 90% of my all time back in college. So I jumped just shy of 9 feet. It was like 8.7 or it was 8.9. I was 3 inches off of a 9-foot broad jump. So to have that's why the Achilles part is really cool, is because you can get slow and strong with an Achilles recover, but it's that explosiveness that is hard to get back with an Achilles, in conjunction with me running a 60-mile week, which means my week prior to was 55 and the week before that was 50. So it's like that climbing and bringing my strength back up. And the 5 weeks that I was in a caloric deficit that we were just talking about, I've seen some drops in strength, but just in the 2 weeks of bringing back in a caloric surplus, like I brought that back up just a little bit. And so that's what I'm playing with. How can I keep my strength? Because I really believe that having the strength, having the power will benefit me. It's that turnover and the snappiness at every stride, having a little bit more force that I can apply with every stride is only going to benefit me, especially if I drop another 10 pounds. And that goes back to what we were talking about with Eliud Kipchoge. His average watts per kilo his average power during a marathon is very similar to mine, but he weighs 50 pounds lighter than I do.
So what is your target weight then? Is it another 5 pounds or is it another 10 pounds from here?
It's another 7 pounds from here. I want to be the 190. I want to at least get to 192. That starts to put me in a completely different ballpark of watts per kilo on the road.
Yeah.
And so again, if I can keep that power, I'm in a completely different place at 192 than at 202.
So yeah, so that's dropping 10 pounds total. So 192, essentially. You're a 202, 203 athlete normally walking around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a sub 3 hour marathon. And then you hit your triple at 90% on the back squat. What was that triple at?
405.
5? Yeah.
Yep.
That's always been our kind of thing, is like, can you do the triple 405?
Totally.
And holding on to close to a 9-foot broad jump. That's cool. That's like the absolute strength, the explosive strength, and then the kind of the dual ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Totally.
Is there anything else in the middle, like either a run time or a 2K row, or like a mile or a 2K row, or anything else that you're kind of thinking about to kind of hold on to that other capacity? Or
it's actually my 10-minute echo bike test. Yeah,
awesome.
That's the one that
really nice, right?
I think it's because it's like I want to get connected with a lab that would do a VO2 max test on the echo bike with me. Because I just think that, there's so much more musculature. We've talked about this before, where your VO2 max, it'll show a higher VO2 max than running by itself, cycling. That's my theory. Running by itself, cycling by itself, etc., because it's using so much musculature. And if you have a total body VO2 max that is really powerful, like that's only going to translate into everything else better. And so if I can keep that up and that power, I would be really happy.
Is that for wattage or calories?
I would go for wattage.
Yeah.
I just, again, everything for me is based off of wattage. It's a really simple, it's about 35% higher than what you would see on a C2 bike. It's a pretty easy conversion. And so I can convert that wattage down to a rough C2 bike, which would give me an indication of my watts per kilo there.
What is it? What's your kind of target? What's your 10-minute eco bike wattage, average wattage?
I really want to get it to 450. I just recently did it and saw 433.
Nice.
And if I can get it to 450, like, I feel pretty confident. I feel strong at 450. That for people who only count calories, that would put me like a 220-ish, 220.
Which kind of that gold standard is your body weight in calories, right? So if you're a 200-pound athlete getting 200, that's kind of that gold standard. That's cool.
Mm-hmm, totally.
That's cool. We almost have like a cool little hybrid test there. It's like the 3, 4, 4.5.
Yeah.
Right? 3-hour marathon, 400-pound back squat, 450 average wattage on the 10-minute eco bike.
Yeah.
There's too many words in that last one. We got to shorten that up.
Yeah, I think so. But that's a pretty good
450 10-minute echo bike average wattage.
Bike wattage average.
That's cool. That's a good round. That's a good.
It's a well-rounded test. And the broad jump,
test.
I think the broad jump too I think it's really cool. It takes a little bit of coordination there. You loop that in and you start to get some really cool pictures of people's well-rounded ability. It's been fun. It's been really fun.
That's cool. And then do you have another marathon scheduled?
Targeted. So
which is what?
I'm either looking at Houston or Mesa in late
Where's
winter.
Mesa?
That'd be Arizona, Mesa.
Dude, hot. Both of them.
Well, not in January and February when they
cool.
are.
Yeah, that's right. Love it.
So what I'm currently targeting is High Rocks mid-November. See how close, or if we can go sub 60. Like, that's kind of in the pro division. That's kind of people's target. And so I'm doing a high mileage plan to try to bring my 10K down. And really all that looks like is a lot of high mileage, a lot of slow, easy runs, and a lot of finishes at a 6:30 pace, or middle of the run, hit some small intervals, 5 by 1 minute at 6 minutes, 6:30 pace, something like that. Really just keeping the neuromuscular power and efficiency and turnover.
Will you compete in the pro division, or do you have to like qualify for that, or is it an invite, or how does that work?
You can it's just a sign up right now.
You sign up for the pro?
You just got to be, but they go so fast. So you just have to be on it for registration. But yeah, you just sign up. And then like, I would really like to then see how
is pro close. Then just like delineated by loading?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's open and pro.
Got it.
Open is, it's just lighter loads, lighter sleds. And then the pro, that's when things change. It's like, you got to be runnable and you got to be strong enough to move the sleds and the weights. The wall ball gets heavier, goes up to 20 pounds instead of 14 pounds. So yeah, so High Rocks in November, and then that will give me either an 8 or a 10-week block to then sharpen and build up long mileage for a marathon and see how close to sub 3 we can get.
Nice, man. Are either of those, the Mesa or the Houston, are they Boston qualifiers?
Well, they both are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Boston, Cole.
Yeah.
Awesome. You've watched a lot of them here.
Watched a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now I'm the only one in the household who hasn't qualified for one because Genesee's qualified.
Is she doing the same training with you?
Sort of. She has more problems with her Achilles than I do. So even though I've ruptured mine. So she tends to have to take like an extra rest day or get on the bike throughout the week. And so we don't really hang the whole entire time together as far as like what the exact training looks like, but it mirrors each other a lot. We're mimicking each other a ton.
Heather and I have been doing our Sunday long runs together, and it's
oh, you're getting them together.
I'd say about 50% of them.
Let's go.
And it's we always leave the house together at the same time. It's kind of like, are we gonna, do it together, or she listens to a podcast and I go introspective.
Mm-hmm, totally.
But we've been doing the last few together, and it's just, it's such a cool, I have such a level of appreciation and gratitude that we get to share not only that time, but that this same values and pursuit, and you and Genesee have obviously the same thing. And if one of the biggest things we want to do is make good habits, lower the friction for good habits, and then put as much friction as we can in front of us between bad habits and the obvious example. There's like, do you have junk food in the house? That's really low friction.
Right.
Having that is just having the idea of like going for a long run as the norm, and not like, hey, I need to go leave for 60, 90, 2 hours to kind of go do this thing. Is that okay? But it's actually the thing that we do this together is, I think of it the same thing as if one of you was into golf and the other wasn't. If one of you was into skiing and the other wasn't. If one of you was into, have you seen this new board game, Mahjong? I hope I'm saying that right.
No.
Man, so the people are way into this thing, and it takes like an hour or two to play a game. So I just have this huge level of appreciation for shared values.
Totally. No, that's actually, I really like
creating an environment.
Yeah, I really like what you're pressing on there. And it was a conversation that Genesee and I had in the car on the way back from the lake this weekend. We're very fortunate to get out there. The family out there has a gorgeous property. It's an incredible experience. And one of the things that we said on the drive home was, as great as that is, and how as much as we love it in the moment, we love our life together. We love the data. If we never went another beautiful place in our life, we're both pretty confident that we would just love our day-to-day so much that we wouldn't even notice, because it's what you're talking about. It's the shared values of waking up together, both in similar pursuits. Let's go run together. We get back into the gym. Like we talk to each other, communicate like, hey, do you want to go back in the gym later in the afternoon? Yes, let's line that up and do it together. And it creates this connection and bond and fluidity of the day that you're together. You're doing it together, and that's a wonderful pursuit and makes for great connection and really good time. And so I'm with you there, man. It's really nice.
Happiness is not on the other side of pleasure or ease, right? Pleasure and ease is nice in the moment, and it's good to have it every now and then, but as a just as a yin to the yang, right? Not as just like a thing to pursue unto itself. I was listening to this thing recently from a former president of the US who was basically saying that the majority of Americans aspire for the life of leisure, where they play golf, they drink with their buddies, they hang on the beach, they have no responsibility. And of course, this is like, back in the, I think it was from the 60s or so. And he's like, that actually isn't what creates that's not the thing that creates the long-term happiness. Even though it is, I get it, because there's times that I aspire to that too, that I'm like, man, it'd be so cool to just have that. But I think you and I are very similar in where we go on a family vacation, and by day 4, we're kind of like itchy, like, okay, time to build, time to create, time to make, time to improve, time to learn, time to grow, time to contribute, time to have, what can we do? I think that's just that nice realization, that nice awareness. And then the kind of the punchline to this is, as you just said, how cool is that to be able to share that with the people, the person that's the closest to you, and have them respond in kind, going, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I want as well.
And it's funny because I think one of the other things that you've kind of said in there is like, I want to build a life that I enjoy so much that if I was to go on vacation, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that life and place it somewhere else. Right. I'm going to go experience the life that I love, the things that I enjoy. Let's go to Italy. Guess what I'm going to do first thing in the morning? I'm going to wake up at 5:30, and I'm going to go for a run. And I'm going to explore Italy by going on a 2-hour run. I'm going to do my life that I have just loved and I have found to be so fulfilling and satisfying and enjoyable.
I think we said this on the last one, right? If Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime woke up and he was the last man on earth, he'd still go to the gym for 6 hours.
Totally.
It's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the idea of what you just said is the aspirational thing is not necessarily the bigger house, the bigger paycheck, the bigger title, the whatever it might be, the fancier vacations. But what is the ideal? And I had Heather do this, right? But I through this exercise, what's the ideal day look like? I think that's such a good practice. Like, what's your ideal day look like? Just kind of stack that up. What is it?
There's something too that, we talk about living a satisfying life, a gratifying life, a fulfilling life. And people think of things and places and experiences. And we left off last time talking about this subtly. And I really think the answer, more than people realize, and I've just been on this pursuit for a long time, but it's gaining higher levels of capacity. higher levels of capacity physically, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, like to build that capacity to handle and carry burdens, hardship, and to be unshakable, not to be able to be rattled, to have something hard hit you in the face and like, that's fine. I can take that. I can handle that. And so it's finding a life, values in life, habits in life that continue to forge that and build that and really like create a level of fortitude in the mind that is a fortress and really to be unshakable in a deep, deep way. And I try to do that. It's why I wake up early and go on a long run. That's not pleasant. There's a much I've had much easier seasons of life where I woke up and had coffee for a couple hours and talked and visited. It's pleasant and it's nice, but that doesn't lead to a pleasant experience when life gets hard. And those are the times that I want the most pleasant experience possible is when life gets hard. That's the time that I want the most pleasant thing. So I'm going to wake up and I'm going to pursue something that is challenging me in some manner, no matter what it is. Business venture, physical activities, better relationships with people. I'm going to look for like, what am I doing wrong that is insufficient? And I'm going to try to kill it off. And I'm going to try to fortify that and make that stronger and make that better and gain higher levels of capacity in different areas of my life. And I really think that then like the totality of the experience of life really becomes more pleasurable, more a better experience overall.
It seems like as worthy a goal of anything we could have is basically essentially to just be able to handle hard better. If the nature of life is that we're going to be constantly put up against things that don't meet our expectations on a varying level of degree and scale, from the small things like someone cutting you off in traffic, to your phone not connecting to your Bluetooth in your car, to hearing that a coworker might be talking trash about you behind your back, to the boss asking you to work on the weekends, to the bigger things like losing your job, family member getting sick, spending months and months in the NICU, varying degrees. Like, as you said, how much can we handle hard better? And something might break us, but can we just not be more resilient to the smaller and medium things?
I think that, and one of the things that I find fascinating in this thought line too, is one of the things that I am always asking myself is not just can I handle hard better, but in the midst of hard, can I think of others as well? Can I take myself outside of my own focus on me because I'm going through hard, and can I see that somebody else is also going through hard and
Yeah.
help them? Do I have the capacity in my own hardship to help somebody else going through their hardship? And that's really when it's like, whoa, that's enlightenment. I'm not saying that I have that, but it's a pursuit that I want. It's definitely a pursuit that I want.
Yeah, it's a perspective, right? When you can zoom out of the tunnel vision of this is the struggles that I'm in, you kind of put it in a little bit of perspective. First one is, if we all throw our problems in a pile, I think we'd be really quick to pull ours back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great book by Morgan Housel called Same as Ever. And it creates such a good perspective because guess what? Like the pandemic, the recession, the loss of job, the fear, the political alliance, like these things are not new. They have been here forever.
Yeah.
And they're always going to be here.
Totally.
So it's also like this kind of like numbers game of the number of people that have to deal with these same situations that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's actually shocking how we can kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I need to go through this. But when you actually put the numbers to it, the number of people that actually are going through this, you saw this with the NICU. It's like, oh my gosh, woe is me is right. But also like, wow, like we're one of hundreds and hundreds of thousands just in our area that have to experience this.
Totally. That was a very convicting thing when you're in the NICU, you will get an indication of, you'll hear things about your neighbor essentially, and what the neighbor and the other baby that is, in the same pod as you, what they're going through. And one of our neighbors was born at the exact same gestation. So, 26 weeks and 4 days, same weight, 1 pound, 9 ounces, baby boy, all of the same things. We're going through hard. They're going through hard. We had it so much better off in what we were facing versus what they were facing. And we're going through hard. And I'm going to go talk to that mom and make sure she's okay because, whoa, that's what they're going through is really hard. Sorry. It's that, man. And can we look out for one another because life is hard and it punches you in the face, and together is always better. And as a collective, we can make life beautiful, but we have to support each other and we have to have the strength to do that, to be able to get outside of ourselves and not be so worried about ourselves and play the woe is me game and say, hey, this is hard. Yes, but that is hard too. And I can at least be here next to you and give you a hug. If anything, at minimum, I can give you an ear and listen and let you talk. And that's what's far more strength than people will ever give credit for. Can you actually stop your life and listen to somebody? That takes a lot of strength. And I would like to see more of that in the world. I really would. And even in my own life, I can own that too. Like I could be tenfold better.
Strength is compassion. Strength is empathy. Strength is connection.
Absolutely, man.
Dude, and you're, maybe do it better, but you're also a great example of what it looks like in real life, and also a great example of the anti-fragility that we all have. You know, as you go through hardship, we know that you do come out stronger on the other side with whatever it might be, right? It might not be, maybe it's more wisdom, maybe it's more perspective, but we come out, you know, there are some things in the world that don't get broken, but get strengthened through challenge. And humans are one of those. Economies are one of those.
And on the other side of it is a gift. There is a gift waiting for you, but you also have to you got to be willing to take the gift. Well, man, thank you. Thank you for the talk. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, buddy.